Nigeria advocates shift in global finance architecture, sets up trade partnership with United Arab Emirates.
As we work to ensure a stable and reliable energy supply, we are actively seeking partnerships that promote technology transfer, knowledge exchange, and innovation.
Power for Health Interagency Committee for Uninterrupted Supply set in motion.
By the end of 2027, we want to see at least 30% of health facilities in Nigeria enjoying uninterrupted power supply.
Push that tools to meet deadline. Federal government tasks contractor handling Abuja-Lokoja highway.
People are waiting for the completion of this project to ease movement.
Hello and nice to have you join us on the Network News. I am Elizabeth Omori. Adiola Komiakere in Lagos will bring us trending reports from her zone. And Benny Adams, a very busy businessman, won't be minding his business tonight. Benny?
Yes, Elizabeth, I'm actually minding my business by counting every penny in Nigeria's stock market. Investors are going home today with more than 750 billion naira. That is amazing.
Amazing, of course. And our sports lady, Francisca, will bring us updates from the world of sports. Francisca, what's trending?
Of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are set for the semi-final clash against Morocco this Wednesday.
Thank you. And don't forget to follow this newscast live on all our social media handles displayed on the screen. We begin with the Sustainable Week 2026 in Abu Dhabi, where Nigeria called for a fundamental shift in the global financial architecture from the restrictive requirement of sovereign guarantees to focus on blended finance and capital mechanism that allow private sustainable capital flows. President Bola Tinubu made the call at the summit underway in the United Arab Emirates capital. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu, a second-time guest of UAE's Presidents Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and Hayyan at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit, setting a new global benchmark for collaborations and measurable impact of collective solutions is the major agenda here. The host nation aims to grow partnership in this direction as heads of state, business leaders, investors and other players converge.
From His Excellency Bola Tinubu.
Through the Nigerian leader, they seek to know the latest sustainable efforts on the African continent. President Tinubu highlights Nigeria's ongoing drives, including major regulatory steps to strengthen climate governance and sustainability framework by adopting the National Carbon Market Activation Policy, as well as modernizing Nigeria's energy architecture with the Electricity Act of 2023 to provide for decentralized and inclusive energy delivery.
In practical terms, this means sustainable power to rural communities, off-grid health facilities, educational institutions, markets, and the underserved communities. We also recognize that the adoption of artificial intelligence, AI, to optimize efficiency is no longer a matter of the future. Therefore, as we work to ensure a stable and reliable energy supply, we are actively seeking partnership that promote technology transfer, knowledge exchange, and innovation.
He says his administration is energizing the sector through the launch of a climate and green industrialization investment playbook to unlock $25 to $30 billion annually in climate finance.
The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority has launched a $500 million distributed renewable energy fund, while the World Bank is implementing the $750 million there programs, which will expand clean electricity access to power to over 17.5 million people.
Earlier, at the opening ceremony, host President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan says his country will continue to offer purposeful partnerships to the world through access to finance, water, energy, healthcare, and other solutions to sustainability challenges.
We offer what serious partners value most. We offer stability, steady leadership, policy clarity, long-term vision, advanced logistics, world-class financial services, smart capital, and much, much more. And if access to energy and high-tech infrastructure is important to you, here is where you will find them in abundance. The winner is...
Under the Zayed Sustainability Prize Program, the country rewarded innovative solutions in healthcare, food, energy, water, and climate change by investors from across the world. In Abuja, Musbah Al-Wahab, NTA News.
Still from Abu Dhabi, Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates have signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement to boost trade relations between both countries on the sidelines of the ongoing Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week Summit. Musbah Al-Wahab now tells us more.
Yes, it's a long-time dream come through for Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, with months of negotiations ending up on the table, signing the agreements, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, CEPA. They call it. President Bola Tinubu witnessed the signing alongside his host, President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and President Tinubu happily and proudly so announced these agreements at the ADWS event.
This historic and strategic milestone marks a new era in our bilateral relations. The agreement will deepen trade, unlock sustainable investments, and strengthen cooperation in renewable energy, aviation, logistics, agriculture, digital trade, and climate-smart infrastructure, creating enduring opportunities for our people and businesses.
And the Nigerian Minister of Industry, Trade and Investments, Jumoke Oduole, who signed the agreement alongside a counterpart of the United Arab Emirates, says it's a happy day for both countries.
Nigerian exporters will have over 7,000 product lines, from agricultural products to pharmaceuticals, that will enter the UAE market duty-free. So that's a big one for our non-oil exports under the Renewed Hope agenda. Also, Nigeria will be diversifying and accelerating exports in various sectors. Also, Nigeria will be welcoming investors from the UAE in critical sectors such as infrastructure, financial services. These are areas where we're prioritizing industrialization, we're prioritizing services where we're competitive. This agreement has been a long time coming. We've negotiated for about 11 months, very tough negotiation, but both sides are delighted that we have a good deal. This particular agreement will allow Nigerian businesses access into that regional hub of the Middle East, and it's a gateway to the rest of the world. It's an area where Nigerians are competitive in services. Nigerians will have up to 3 months to go into the UAE market in a 12-month period. Nigerians will have the opportunity, managers, business owners, to set up offices in the UAE. We're also improving transport and logistics. We know that Emirates will also be expanding into Abuja again by Q1 of this year. So it's a lot of things that we have in store for Nigerian businesses.
And members of the Nigerian delegation also commended these alongside the presentation of President Bola Tinubu at the summit, and they advise on what Nigeria should do to get the best out of this agreement.
And essentially is to build a robust relationship, economic and financial, between the two countries. So that is what I would say the latest gains in terms of His Excellency Mr. President's global economic diplomacy, which is feeding on the back of the reforms that have been introduced into the Nigerian economy that have made it an attractive destination for investors.
I urge those people that are in charge to take it serious and not to play with this relationship, to take it to the area where the youth and Nigeria will benefit. This is what we are looking for.
Well, this is not the first time that Nigeria will be signing an agreement with the United Arab Emirates, but this is coming different because there is a monitoring mechanism component of this agreement, and President Bola Tinubu also directed that there should be a meeting at least once a year to track progress of this agreement.
Thank you, Musbao, for the updates. Now, elsewhere, Nigeria is intensifying efforts to attract Spanish investments with a call on Europe and Africa to build bridges, not walls, and see both continents as single geopolitical space largely separated by perception. This was during the 2026 annual conference of Spanish ambassadors in Madrid. Garba Natala reports.
Ties between Nigeria and Spain has been simple and stark. Oil and gas for manufactured goods, making Spain Nigeria's top European energy buyer, accounting for 99.4% of total exports to Spain. But in Madrid, in the second week of 2026, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, Yusuf Tuga, framed that old link as just the foundation of something new, to be driven by diverse non-oil sectors like agriculture and agro-processing, infrastructure, industrial development, business process outsourcing, technology, and creative industries. Speaking to over 180 Spanish ambassadors, the architects of Spain's global policy, Yusuf Tuga argued Europe and Africa are not distant worlds, but a single geopolitical space. Therefore, he called on leaders in Europe and Africa to reject isolationism, but rather strengthen cooperation based on shared history, geography, and mutual responsibility.
As to setting up a pipe mill in Nigeria, whoever sets up a pipe mill in Nigeria is going to be printing money because we're constructing a lot of gas pipelines and oil pipelines as well. So we have within the country, we have the AKK, Ajakuta, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. We've got a crude line, the OB3, OB, we've got several others.
The framework was laid out directly to Spain's business leaders under the auspices of the Spanish Confederation of Business Organizations. The minister's takeaway is for Europe to move beyond oil and invest long-term in Nigeria's farmlands, factories, tech hubs, and film studios. Yusuf Tuga pointed out that an investment in Nigeria is a gateway to access the entire 1.3 billion continental market under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Likewise, it's an opportunity for sustainable growth between Europe and Africa. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Natala, NT News.
Still on bilateral relations, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has held talks with the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria on strengthening cooperation in visa facilitation and business mobility. A statement by the ministry revealed that the Turkish ambassador disclosed recent improvements in visa processing for Nigerian business travelers. He also called for consideration for Turkey's inclusion in Nigeria's electronic visa system. Interior Minister Tunji-Ojo assured that Nigeria remains committed to transparent and practical visa administration that supports legitimate business and investment, while both sides agreed to sustain engagement to deepen bilateral relations. In other news, the first Hadiza Bala Usman Governor's Colloquium in commemoration of her 50th birthday was full of encomium on her role in nation building as special advisor to the President on policy and coordination. At the event, Vice President Kashim Shettima and other key speakers extolled her contributions to service delivery. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Kind, she's dedicated to her work, and I'm so proud to stand here today to welcome you all to this colloquium.
She has also mastered the art of stakeholder management, thereby knowing who exactly she needs to bring on the table at every point in time.
Official work and titles. What I treasure most is the friendship Hadiza and I share.
The environment at this colloquium witnessed testimonies and emotions on who is Hadiza Bala Usman and her role in advancing Nigeria's public sector.
I am a daddy's girl and I miss my daddy so much. So thank you all for coming today, and I truly appreciate everyone.
With the theme Leadership, Delivery and Courage to Serve, the guest speaker, Dr. Joe Abba, gave an insight into the theme, drawing from his extensive experience in policy formulation and institutional reforms.
Of those roughly 240 million people, only very few will get the opportunity in their lifetime to serve their country at a senior level.
The ultimate measure of a man, according to Martin Luther King Jr., is not where he stands at times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of conflict and challenges. During one of Nigeria's darkest moments, he answered the call of conscience. He compounded the Bring Back Our Girls movement at a time of national grief, fear, and uncertainty, when lies were manufactured and weaponized for political ends, when fault lines that divide this country were deliberately manipulated for political ends. I was an active participant in that moment and saw firsthand how she stood firm.
You have continued to distinguish yourself through intellectual rigor, strategic foresight, and uncommon passion for translating policy intent into measurable outcomes.
Hadiza Bala Usman has consistently demonstrated a clear doctrine of leadership. The public office is a trust, that delivery matters, and that courage is not optional.
As the head of the Central Results Delivery Coordination Unit, Hadiza Bala Usman works at the forefront of coordinating government policies and driving government's renewed hope agenda across ministries, departments, and agencies. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
You're watching the network news on NTA. Let's take a break. More reports when we return. Thanks for staying with us. The federal government has intensified efforts to strengthen health security with the inauguration of a committee tasked to drive a reliable and uninterrupted power supply to healthcare facilities nationwide. At the inauguration of the Interagency Technical Committee of the Nigeria Power for Health Initiative in Abuja, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isaac Salako, alongside the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo, said the initiative targets provision of stable electricity to at least 30% of Nigeria's health facilities by the end of 2027. Oluseyi Adiago brings us details.
Many hospitals and clinics across Nigeria continue to grapple with unreliable grid electricity, forcing them to depend on expensive alternatives that are often unable to sustain round-the-clock operations. Despite these challenges, Nigeria remains committed to achieving universal health coverage, with the federal government intensifying efforts to promote functional health facilities powered by reliable and sustainable energy sources aimed at improving overall population health outcomes.
That promise that we make to Nigerians that by the end of 2027, we want to see at least 30% of health facilities in Nigeria enjoying uninterrupted power supply is achieved. This, of course, we're going to leverage on a lot of possibilities.
The Nigeria Power for Health Initiative is a government-led, private sector-driven collaborative program established to streamline, harmonize, and coordinate all electrification projects and interventions within the health sector, with the overreaching objective to enhance service delivery and strengthening the resilience of Nigeria's healthcare system. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
To infrastructure development, federal government expresses dissatisfaction over the low pace of ongoing rehabilitation works of Abuja-Lokoja Highway, urging contractors handling their road projects to accelerate their work to meet deadlines. Usman Zubair reports.
Abuja-Lokoja Highway was awarded in 2022, expected to deliver in April 2026. Barely 3 months left to deadline. The Abuja-Lokoja Section 4A has only witnessed 22.40% completion rate, while the dualization of the Lokoja-Benin route, Section 1, Phase 1 and 2, Obajana Junction-Okino Road, being handled by CGC, cover only 38.04% stage of completion. Some of the contractors handling the road project attributed the slow pace of work to challenges of non-payment certificates, traffic management, and site access among key constraints affecting concrete placement, which they said made the project to face several challenges leading to slow down its completion. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement, North Central Region, Dr. Abiodun Esset, said the inspection was aimed at assessing the progress made so far, calling on the contractors to do more in terms of bringing more equipment and make sure that the project is completed according to time frame.
People are waiting for the completion of this project to ease movement. So please and please, we don't want to come back the next time and be saying this. We have assured you of Mr. President's commitment, and also the Minister of Works is also committed. But show us what you are made of.
During the visit, other federal road projects were also inspected, as well as commission of a special intervention project on the effect of flooding on washout embankment along Itobi-Iyimba Road in Kogi State. Usman Zubair, NTA.
Now to animal disease control, the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development has adopted science-based disease control and evidence-driven policy for the eradication of pest de petit ruminant. Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, at the inauguration of a technical working group, said eradicating PPR by 2030 is not negotiable. Yusuf Jika brings us details.
Nigeria, with a population of 234 million goats and 74 million sheep, is being faced with one of the devastating transboundary animal disease, posing significant threats to the livelihoods of pastoralists, smallholder farmers, and undermining national food and nutrition security. Concerned by the threatening statistics, these experts assembled by the Ministry of Livestock Development to drive a common goal for the eradicating of pest de petit ruminants remain focused.
It is a platform that we want to translate policy into actions. As it has always been said, we want to walk the talk. And we believe it is only with this kind of expert group that will provide the needed guidance.
Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, said the group is to support the broader national vision of building a resilient, productive and global competitive livestock sector.
Small ruminants are particularly important to women, youth and vulnerable rural households, serving as a critical source of income, nutrition and financial resilience. For this reason, controlling and ultimately eradicating PPR is not only a veterinary imperative, but also an economic, social and developmental priority for our nation.
At the end of the day, we would see truly that PPR would be, a history and thing of the past in this country.
Part of the group's mandate include advising on vaccination strategies and risk-based targeting, strengthening surveillance and diagnostic system, improving data management, and facilitating intersectoral collaboration. In Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
A bid from the court, trial of the 5 suspects allegedly linked to the June 5, 2022 bombing and killing at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo in Ondo State, continued with evidence taken from another witness to the crime. Dele Atumbi reports.
On June 5, 2022, a bomb went off at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, leading to the death of at least 40 parishioners. After years of investigation, 5 suspects were arrested and interrogated concerning their involvement. Idris Omeiza, Al-Kazim Idris, Jamiu Abdulmalik, Abdul Alim Idris, and Momo Abubakar face multiple counts of belonging to the Al-Shabaab's terrorist group and being alleged perpetrators of the heinous crime. Upon their arraignment in court, they had pleaded not guilty and a witness had already been called by the prosecution to give evidence in private. At the resumption of the trial this Tuesday, the second prosecution witness, a parishioner in the church, gave a vivid account of how the terrorists caused mayhem during the Sunday service. He identified the second defendant in court as the gunman he saw invading the church that fateful Sunday. The defense counsel objected to this, but the court overruled him, admitting the witness evidence in chief. The 5 defendants have been tried in court under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
In other news, the Gombe State government is strengthening measures to ensure that APC retains dominance at the state and federal levels. Governor Muhammad Inuayaya made the declaration during the launch of the APC digital registration and validation ceremony. Abbas Meikano reports.
In a major shift in party enrollment from paper-based forms to an online platform, APC in Gombe has broadened the membership base and streamlined data collection ahead of the 2027 election cycle. This is in line with the idea of the current national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Professor Nintawe Yilwadda.
To thank Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the leadership of our party at the national level, leadership at the state level, and my colleagues, the governors, and the leadership also in all the states and local governments.
Leading the APC members, Governor Inuayaya flagged off the registration portal and encouraged the party officials, youth and women's wing leaders continued support as APC-led administration delivers its mandate.
For us in Gombe, we are not starting, we have been doing, but below the table. Now we'll come to the surface because we've equipped ourselves at every point of the state.
We'll all go back to our wards and we'll get registered in the wards so that we become bona fide members of the APC in Gombe and Nigeria as a whole.
The digital push will bring the party closer to the people and ensure every voice is counted. All necessary steps have been taken to sustain the dominance of APC at all levels. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
Away from political matters, sequel to President Bola Tinubu's approval, modalities are being finalized to enhance armed forces personnel salaries. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, stated this at a social night organized as part of activities marking the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. The CDS noted that in recognition of the post-service welfare veterans, the Defense Headquarters engaged financial institutions to develop soft loan schemes for spouses of retired personnel. The initiative is said will offer loans at significantly reduced interest rates to support sustainable ventures.
We are working on modalities to increase the salary of our men and women. And, you know, I'm always for this idea of our soldiers retiring into their homes. So, added to what the services are doing, like the Ahuras in the army, and I'm sure the other service chiefs will look into how to better the lives of our soldiers or the airmen are rating when they leave service. But that said, we're also interfacing with Bank of Industry to see how people can access housing loans so that will add to what the services are doing. So that by the time you leave service, you can have your own personal homes and you'll be happy that you serve Nigeria.
Celebration and Remembrance Day provides an opportunity to reflect on sacrifices of fallen heroes and efforts of serving personnel. Now, the U.S. Africa Command says U.S. forces have delivered critical military supplies to Nigeria in support of counter-terrorism operations in affected regions in the country. In a tweet via its official X handle at U.S. Africa Command, the delivery took place on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 in Abuja. Sharing a picture and tagging the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, the command says the delivery emphasizes the security partnership between both countries. As part of ceremonies marking the commemoration of this year's Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day, an award night is held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The purpose is to honor notable Nigerians who have served with distinction in the military or in support of the military's activities against insurgency and terrorism. The theme for this year's Armed Forces Day celebration is Valor, Sacrifice and Unity, honoring our heroes. Among those honored are the former Chief of Army Staff, General Tukur Buratai, and Minister for Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. It's time to join Adeola in Lagos for reports from her zone. Adeola.
Elizabeth. Still on the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day, it is observed every 15th of January. It is a constant reminder of the sacrifices of military personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty, particularly during World Wars I and II, the Nigerian Civil War, and various peacekeeping missions. It is also a day to recognize the courage of those still serving and to appreciate the families who bear the pain and pride of their loved ones' service. Lynn Leneke examines the role of ex-servicemen in community policing.
Honoring fallen heroes who laid down their lives during Nigerian Civil War, peacekeeping missions across Africa and the world, and ongoing efforts to secure the nation against terrorism, insurgency, and other threats remains relevant to the country's security architecture. While in active service, they stood firm in the face of danger, choosing duty over comfort, service over safety, and nation over self. Their blood became the seed of the country's freedom. For such humanitarian service rendered to one's nation, security experts say there is need for more synergy and integration of ex-servicemen with empathy to support their families.
Youth officers can help and assist in the area of community policing, security advocacy, intelligence gathering, security education for the community, community enlightenment, synergy or synergizing with various security agencies in their environment, especially at where they have challenges.
They have done so well for Nigeria at large. Many have served outside the country. Many are so experienced in different security fields. And that's why we need all these persons to come on board an umbrella. So we will put them in a local security network. The information they can gather, their expertise.
It is hoped that the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day will always encourage all Nigerians to promote peace, unity, and patriotism and work together to build a nation free from violence, injustice, and division. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. The network news will continue with Elizabeth in Abuja after the break.
Here it's time to talk business. And looking into the new year, economic experts are optimistic that the gains of ongoing reforms will be felt better in the coming months. Segun Ologe, a marketing and branding consultant, adds that businesses and households need to position themselves for the gains.
I see 2026 bringing a more stable economy, and this is also due to very strong government reforms the new tax policy being implemented. There is also bank recapitalization. And I think if government does well this time, we should be able to save enough to put into other areas. Things like AI are causing a disruption. Businesses should begin to look that way.
Now, in other news, the crisis in Iran, which has reached its 15th day, has rattled global oil markets, pushing prices to 7-week highs this Tuesday due to fears of supply disruptions. U.S. President Donald Trump is ramping up pressure on Iran, which is facing its largest anti-government protest in years. Trump just announced that any nation doing business with Tehran will face a 25% tariff on U.S. trade. He called the order final and conclusive, but is yet to release further details. Iran, which already faces heavy U.S. sanctions, counts China, the United Arab Emirates, and India among its top trading partners. Looking at Nigerian stocks today, at the end of today's trading session on the exchange, investors smiled home with more than 700 billion naira as gain, a total of 1.131 billion shares in 49,181 deals, corresponding to a market value of 33.542 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, which was yesterday, data shows 2% decline in volume, 75% improvement in turnover, but 70% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 106.2 trillion naira. And on the aggregate, 128 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 55 gainers and 13 losers. And looking at the South African market, the market gained rose by 0.73%, while the Namibia stocks are still experiencing downtime, recording 0.68%. The best time for new investors in that part of the country to invest, if you ask me for advice. That is it on business at this time.
Thank you so much, Benny. Still on business matters, the Nigerian exchange broke records in 2025 with turnover topping 11 trillion naira and investors celebrating a landmark year. So far in 2026, market capitalization also crossed to more than 100 trillion naira. Moplang Dakok tells us more.
2025 was a landmark year for Nigeria's capital market. The Nigerian exchange NGX recorded 11.23 trillion naira in turnover, more than double that of 2024, reflecting renewed investor confidence and a thriving equity market.
So when we have that enabling environment, so it will always translate into the bottom line. So and we, the investors, are the real owner of all those companies. They are not those people. So we invest and we expect our better yield.
The all-share index gained more than 51%, while market capitalization neared 100 trillion naira by the end of the year. In 2026, the index currently stands at 163,244.69 points, with market capitalization at more than 104 trillion naira.
It is a good development. It's a growth trajectory, and at the same time, it tells you that the market is really moving forward.
2026, the bullish expectations is likely to continue because the macro economy seems to be favorable. You know, some of the policies that the government has implemented starting from 2023 have really impacted on the market.
The surge was driven by foreign portfolio investment, strong corporate earnings, and supportive measures like banking sector recapitalization.
When you see that the turnover is growing, that means, one, a lot of reforms have taken place by this current government, which really help the market to grow. It shows that the investors are confident. They have confidence in all these policies and these reforms.
It is expected that this growth enhances the economy's ability to mobilize long-term capital, support business expansion, and create jobs. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
Let's take another break, and when we return, Francisca will be up with sports update. Stay with us.
Helen, welcome to Sports Update. Now, Nigeria will face host Morocco in the semi-final of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations this Wednesday, January 14, as the Super Eagles continue their push for a fourth continental title. Head coach Eric Chell and midfielder Alex Iwobi say the team remains focused and confident, crediting improved teamwork and a tactical switch to a fluid 4-3-3 formation for their consistency.
We are ready for this game, for all of these games that we play in this tournament. We try to play every game like the last, and we will give everything.
The previous AFCONs, we've done really well. The team have been so strong, but at the same time, the team was young and we were learning about each other. I feel like right now, everybody's entering their prime. Everyone's doing well respectfully for their clubs, and you can see the joy.
Nigeria go into the showdown with a flawless record of 5 wins from 5 matches, while Morocco remains unbeaten with 4 victories and 1 draw. The high-stakes semi-final at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat kicks off at 9 p.m. with a spot in the Sunday's final up for grabs. Elsewhere, Michael Carrick has agreed to become Manchester United's interim head coach, with former England assistant Steve Holland appointed as his assistant. Jonathan Woodgate, Johnny Evans and Travis Binion will be part of the coaching staff. Carrick reached an agreement on Monday night with an official announcement expected on Tuesday. That's your spot. Is back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. And that's the news. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori.